Finally, a book I can relate to.
I know, I practically am Holden Caulfield.
Okay, calm down, guys. I mean, he's literally just a fictional character. How could you relate to him?
Well, the fact that it's in first person alone helps me connect to Holden. When I read it, I understand his thoughts and can really place myself in his shoes.
But how? I mean, he's so overdramatic. You don't have the same personality at all.
I don't necessarily have to be the exact same person as him, but to understand his thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, just look at this quote. Boy, I said. I also say boy quite a lot. Partly because I have a lousy vocabulary, and partly because I act quite young for my age sometimes. I was 16 then, and I'm 17 now. And sometimes I act like I'm about 13.
That's so true. Basically, everyone can relate to not acting their age sometimes. I mean, I've heard my mom say that to my brother like 1,000 times.
I could see that. I mean, that is what's so hard about being a teen. You feel like you're still a kid, but everyone expects you to act like you're older. That's probably why adults don't get it as much as we do.
Totally. Once you grow out of this mindset, the book would have a totally different meaning.
Oh, I just said I could relate to this quote because I'm also 17, but those are some solid reasons too, guys.
But I guess I still don't get why the point of view makes such a big difference.
Emily, do you have another example of first person? I'm in the same boat as Nicole.
Sure, what about this one where he's talking about the museum? The best thing, though, in that museum was that everything always stayed right where it was. Nobody'd move. Nobody'd be different. The only thing that would be different would be you. I feel like we can all relate to this quote with college and everything. I know that my fear of change makes me want to cry in a corner every time someone brings up the subject. Sometimes I wish everything would just stay the same.
That is really true. Holden wanted that security through most of the book. I guess I just didn't see that it could apply to more than the museum.
Yeah, I totally see that connection too. But I think it's the relatable experiences Holden goes through that connect me to the story. It's just like everyday life.
I mean, that's pretty similar to my idea. He talks about all of these situations that I could totally see myself in.
Really? You could see yourself running and gallivanting all over the city like that, like a crazy person?
Oh, come on, you know that's not what I really mean. He just acts and feels a lot like the average teen.
Yeah, exactly. I picked out some parts that I thought were like extra relatable. Just look at this part where he's talking about the guy who vandalized the wall in the elementary school. He says, I kept picturing myself catching him at it and how I'd smash his head on the stone steps till he was good and goddamn dead and bloody. But I knew too I wouldn't have the guts to do it. I knew that made me even more depressed. I mean, maybe not so extreme, but we can all get where he's coming from. He's frustrated by someone's stupid actions and wants to protect his sister from seeing the curse word, but knows he wouldn't have the guts to stand up to the guy.
That's true. I mean, we do all know what it's like to be a bystander sometimes. But what did you say about the guy bashing his head in? I mean, that sounds more than just a little crazy to me.
Yeah, but does he really mean it? We all exaggerate sometimes. He just wants the reader to get how mad he is about it.
I think the way he speaks when expressing himself also creates a relatable tone and messages.
Definitely. I mean, just look at this part a little bit later in the conversation. When his teacher tries to explain that life is a game, I mean, he says, some game, I get if you're on the side where all the hot shots are, then it's a game. I'll admit it. But if you're on the other side where there aren't any hot shots, then what's a game about? Nothing. No game.
The way he speaks is so conversational and casual. I feel like I could be having a conversation with any teenager and it would sound like this.
I don't think that sounds like any conversation I've ever had. This book was written a while ago and well, no one uses words like hot shots anymore.
I can see what you're saying about specific words, but overall it's a lot easier to understand when comparing it to Shakespeare's crazy old English writing style. I can never relate to Shakespearean characters because I can never imagine a person actually speaking in iambic pentameter. But I can imagine an angsty teenage boy complaining about the annoyances of life, even if the language is sometimes outdated.
He's so sarcastic and even a little overdramatic sometimes. I mean, that's really real. He looks at life pretty negatively, and that's because life as a teen is hard. I mean, we all complain a little here and there.
True, but there are times when he words things in a way that are not only confusing for someone who doesn't know him, but also it's not the way a teenager would usually speak. For example, when Holden says, at the end of the first act, we went out with all the other jerks for a cigarette. What a deal that was. You never saw so many phonies in all your life, everybody smoking their ears off and talking about the play so that everyone could hear and know how sharp they were. Like, I think my parents used to say phonies and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that just shows his character. Maybe another teen would be excited to go out and smoke with them or look up to them for talking so sophisticatedly. But Holden sees that they're just trying to act smarter than they really are. And honestly, I think phony is a pretty good word for that.
I think at the end of the day, we can all see a little bit of ourselves in Holden's words and his actions. It's just odd to think about how easily I can relate to a fictional character, even though our lives and personalities are so different.
Yeah, that's true. Holden is kind of like the stereotypical angsty teen that we can all relate to, even though we might deny it at first.
Yeah, but in the end we do see he is really insightful. He thinks and struggles through things just like we do. And the book almost shows us the world through our own eyes.
Through the way he finds himself and comes to terms with his beliefs in such a casual, everyday way, we can all step into Holden's shoes, and that's what makes this book so unique.
Great point, Emily.
Totally. Great discussion, guys.